In a new global survey of 690,000 teens, it was discovered that teenagers can only name about 10 different careers, and they're almost always the same ones. This is something that we've noticed at Degree Free too, and we've been talking about for years, the fact that American teenagers can only name 6 to 8 jobs, which is a huge contributing factor to why so many kids pick the wrong career and they are dissatisfied with their work and they end up in jobs that they hate because they had a limited view of what jobs were available to them and which ones would fit their needs. And I want to talk about the other findings of the survey because that was not the only really interesting thing inside of it. So let's dive into it. So the study was equally boys and girls between the ages of 15 and 16. And one of the clearest themes that emerged was that many of them are really unclear about their career path. 4 out of 10 of them have no idea what they're going to do when they have to make a decision in the next 2 to 3 years about what career they're going to pursue once they get out of high school. And so this is not a uniquely American problem. This is a global problem. And there's a few reasons that the survey seemed to identify for why this is happening. So AI is definitely one of the big concerns. Students do not know how they're going to fit into a world where AI is such a big factor of work and of the tools that they'll have to use. But as I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of them don't know what jobs are actually out there. And then on top of that, they're not sure how to pursue exploring other careers. Because the survey also found that the majority of teens surveyed have no idea how to even reach out or contact or how to even go about finding somebody that works in a field that they're interested in to ask them questions about it. And I would imagine that this gets much harder if they don't know anybody who's in the desired field that they want to get into, because they don't have a connection or a family member that knows somebody in that industry. And so it's difficult for them at that age to figure out how to reach out, how to make a connection. And that's actually a way that parents can really help if their kids are considering a career and there's no one in your sphere of influence in your community that does whatever that job is. As a parent, between 15 and 16, your child is still very young. And so you can actually take the initiative to reach out and ask somebody to help your child explore that career, to let them shadow. And you can facilitate that a little bit more because your child is very young. And it's not like you applying for a job for them because they're still very young. And so you can actually reach out on their behalf in an appropriate way that's not helicopter parenting. And you can help them to facilitate, all right, here's how, you're going to spend a day with this person, or they're going to jump on a call with you and you can ask them questions about this job, et cetera, et cetera. And the way that parents can do this is actually less intimidating than they think. LinkedIn is a great way to do this. You can get on LinkedIn and you can message professionals with the job title or in the industry that your child is interested in and ask them to jump on a 15-minute call to talk to your child about that job. So many people would love to do that. This is something that we've encountered in Degree Free. Many professionals at huge companies, Microsoft, Meta, Nike, will bend over backwards if there is a young person who is interested in going into their field, and they will answer their questions and they will talk them through what skills they need to learn. They are very invested in the future of their job and the future of their industry. And this is true from manufacturing to tech to security to agriculture and anything in between. But so many people, if you just ask, do care very much about the younger generation learning and feeling equipped to make a decision as to whether or not to go into the career path that person is already in. And so asking can be a hugely powerful tool, one, to help your child explore, rule in or rule out different jobs. And two, it can also be really helpful because that may be the way that they build the network they need to get into that career if they do want to go into it. And all you have to do is ask. And speaking of AI, this is a great place for not only you to use it, but for your child to begin using it as well. So one of the best ways you can leverage these sessions when people say yes to you is to have your child have a preset list of questions, especially if they have multiple calls or multiple sessions scheduled with different people for different industries. And it sometimes helps to ask similar questions so that your child can evaluate the different career options that they have. So if you're going to do this, one of the ways you can use AI, use it to help you and your child come up with a list of questions that would be useful from career to compare and contrast different options that they have, especially when they're really stuck between 1 or 2 different careers and they're trying to decide which direction they're going to take. So this is a great way to use AI and also a great way to make sure you're prepared for the time that these people are about to give you. So in this 690,000 person survey of 15 to 16-year-olds across the entire globe in 80 different countries, they found that 50% of girls expect to work in only 1 of 10 careers, and 44% of boys expect to work in only 1 of 10 careers. What this really shows, and what we've discovered at Degree Free, we found that American teenagers between the ages of 16 and 20 can name about 6 to 8 different jobs. So globally, that number doesn't look a whole lot better. The average that you get is about 10, and the job preferences that are reflected are about the same as the ones that we found: teaching, psychology, and sports. You don't have a lot of variation. And a lot of that is because media as well is having an effect on the types of careers that kids are exposed to. So I'm betting if you actually drill down into this data even more, you'd find that in Nigeria or China, you might have young adults that still want to be YouTubers, just like young adults in the United States might want to be a YouTuber. But that's far and away going to be the most creative job that you're going to find on this list. You're not going to find manufacturing jobs. You're not going to find sommelier jobs. You're not going to find farriers. You're not going to find drone pilots. You're not going to find building information modelers. You're going to find the same jobs over and over again. And most of the jobs are going to require kids to purchase college degrees in order to get legal licenses to do things, even though a very small percentage of jobs in the US and then globally, an even smaller percentage of jobs actually require college degrees in order to get those jobs. But it shows that school systems, not just in the US, but across the world, are funneling kids into college, are funneling them into something after school, because probably that's just more comfortable for parents to put their kids on a path and then just feel like they've got somewhere to go and they know where they're going and they know what their outcome is going to be. But also, if you look at the data from India and China recently that shows what's happening with recent college graduates, they have the same problem that we do, which is college graduates are actually underemployed or unemployed. And the unemployment rate for recent college graduates is now outpacing general unemployment because we're in such a bad position. Another interesting point that the survey found was that 11% of boys feel confident that they're going to work in information technology. So 11% of them compared to 1.5% of girls. And a lot of this is just because girls are not well informed about these options. And because of that, they don't feel confident that they can go into those careers. And girls naturally tend to self-eliminate from jobs that they're not fully qualified for. This is reflected in the fact that adult women actually self-eliminate from jobs that they're not 100% qualified for much more than men do. And it shows that this problem starts much earlier and that it could be alleviated with more information about how that type of work fits into the lives that they want and find value and fulfillment in those different types of work. But right now, that's not fully explained to them. The types of jobs that girls tend to be informed about or pushed towards are going to be pink-collar jobs like psychology, nursing, and teaching. And so they're not given a lot of information about how different types of careers in technology or cybersecurity are important or how they have an impact on society so that they consider those careers more than they do now. Overall, the final conclusion of the survey was that roughly 4 out of 10 students feel really unclear about what their future holds for them as far as careers go, and that's double the number from a decade ago. It shows that this problem is getting worse. It's not getting better just because we have more information, more access to information, and more accessible education than we have ever had at any point in history. It doesn't mean that it's easier for people to find the right option for them. It's actually more difficult. And that's the exact problem that we solve at Degree Free. But parents can start working on this by practicing vocational creativity with their kids now. And this is something that you cannot do too early. It's never too early to start practicing this. And that is when you walk around places, when you walk around the grocery store, when you go to a doctor's appointment, start looking at the people who are sitting there, who are walking around, and what work they are doing. And then take your child not only from the people who are walking around that they can physically see, but who works behind those people, and then behind those people. And here's an example of that. Let's say you're walking around Walmart and you see somebody walking around stocking the shelves. Okay, well, that's definitely a job, right? And that's exactly what you say to your child. Look, that's a job that you can have. Who's behind that person? Who gave them the material that they're stocking on the shelves? Let's say you see somebody stocking in the makeup section at Walmart and they're stocking the e.l.f. section of the makeup section at Walmart. And you go, oh, okay, well, who makes these products? Who does the package design for these boxes? Who writes the copy that goes on them? What about the graphic designers that create the labels? What about the people who put them on the trucks? Who decides where the trucks go? Who makes the deals and does the contracts for the trucks? Those are freight brokers. Once you have that, you go upstream from that. Okay, well, who made the deal with Walmart to put the e.l.f. section right here as opposed to right here? And those are going to be procurement, fulfillment people, or they're going to be visual merchandisers who decide where things go on the shelves so that consumers buy them. These are all different jobs, and you have to start thinking creatively. And as a parent, if you start looking for different opportunities, your kids will start to see them too. And when you do that, you give them an outsized skill that other people do not have. And that's recognizing different types of work that you can't visually see. That enables your kids to always wonder what's past this, what's ahead of this, what's behind this, what's before this, what's below this, or next to this. And when they do that, their whole world of work opens up to them. And they do not anymore have this limited view where there are only 10 jobs that they can go into. and they just don't see a clear path to any of them because they're not really interested, or they don't want to spend the money to go to college to get one of those jobs. The good news is they don't have to. There are thousands of jobs out there. And while it is intimidating, helping them find the right one is the most important thing while they're in this transitional period of their life. So to sum up, the things that you can do now are practice vocational creativity with your kids and use LinkedIn, use the internet, use your local Facebook groups to reach out to local business owners or people, even people that you don't know that are strangers who are in the jobs that your kids are interested in, and ask them to give your kids 10 to 15 minutes of their time to talk about their career, how they got into it, what they need to learn, and what the landscape of that career looks like right now. And if you do this, then your child will be miles ahead of so many people.